But we will do good, and I will watch the waiting room and make sure everybody's coming in. I know Angie and Erica both had conflicts today, so I'm not sure if they're going to join us or not. So you might be flying alone with me, but we'll see. Okay, so I have to play a little intro music first because I do have teenage daughters. So, I mean, there's that. And I am getting older and sometimes not wiser. So this is my theme song, right? Anti-hero. Have you heard it? Anybody? Love it, right? What I love about the song, and I won't make you suffer through the whole thing, but what I love about the song, and I'll share my screen, is that it kind of starts you seeing Taylor Swift in person. If you've seen her, whoops, stop sharing. Whoops, it's not happy. Hold on. Hold on. Is it there now? Please share and be happy. Share slideshow. Oh, it just doesn't want to do that. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. Slideshow. Now we've got it. Beautiful. Can you see my screen now? Taylor Swift, huge crowd of people. Was anybody able to go see her while she was out in the world? Anybody able to go and see her in person? I think one of the things that I loved, and I was able to take my kids to see her, is that her concert starts in the daytime, which is a really cool thing about her as a human and her as a performer. I loved the fact that we all could see each other and see her when we sat down in the concert, unlike most concerts I've gone to. And I loved how she walked out and introduced herself. Hey, I'm Taylor, right? It was really simple, like, hi, here I am. And that access to her as a person in the audience was really helpful. I see EOS very similar to that. Business owners, leaders, call center managers, whoever you are that's leading people, sometimes you can feel like you're all alone up on stage in the dark. And she took that away, and EOS can take that away from your business as well. So we're going to talk about that as we look at Taylor. So it'll be fun. So let's see, who here is the problem in their business? Have you ever felt like you're the problem in your business? I know I have, whether I'm a business owner, a partner in partnerships, or whether I'm helping my husband in his home service business. Sometimes I can feel like the problem for sure. And my personal problem is I have a perfectionist tendency. If you see the back of my screen here when we were all together earlier, you can see that all my books are lined up in perfect color order. Yes, I color block all my books because I have these issues, right? I color block my stuff in my kitchen. I color block my things in my closet. It's really a problem. And it's something that could be really good, but it comes out sometimes in my leadership style as perfectionism, and that's not a good leadership style. So I try really hard to stay away from that. So I have even been called by those who love me and my staff that I have been a control freak. Has anybody ever been called that in their role as what they do? Oh, I see a couple hands. I'm not recording, I promise. But I see a couple hands, right? And so I've been accused of being that. But EOS helps smooth out those rough edges in me. And we have taken on the EOS platform. We are in year 3, which I'm so excited to admit to, of running EOS here at Pink Collars, my business. So EOS stands for Entrepreneurial, say that 10 times fast, Operating System. And it's generally just a platform, a strategy, a mindset, a way of thinking. Like it's just all these things, how to run the business. And whether you're the owner of the business, in a leadership role, a call center manager, CSR, dispatcher, whatever, knowing kind of how EOS might help your business wherever you are in that lineup, I think is really helpful. So please don't feel like this is just going to the owners in the room or people that are in management or leadership. This is for everybody at every stage in their journey. I think that EOS has a place in every service business, and I'm really lobbying to see it in a lot more home service businesses myself because I've seen how much it's helped us. Okay, So there's three components of EOS for success. And I like to talk about them just separately. The first one is implementation. So the folks at the Rainforest conference room over there were letting me know that they have just recently implemented EOS into their business. Did you guys hire an outside implementer, or did you kind of self-implement? Because that's interesting to know.
We hired an outside implementer. We
did.
Had to.
Yeah. And you'll find that every business is going to be different. We did the same thing. Again, go back to the slides a couple slides ago, control freak and perfectionist. That was me. And I thought, oh, we can do it. So I read the book and I thought I was super smarty pants. And then I couldn't get the thing off the ground. So we hired somebody as well. So the implementer is the first person that you will meet in the EOS ecosphere, as it were. If you decide to move into EOS, you will hire or find or look for an implementer. And I'll share with you how you can find those people at the end of the slides here. Okay, whoops, we're getting more people coming in. I love it. Okay, the second person that is in the business, the second component is the visionary or the integrator. Often this is the business owner, but it doesn't have to be. I am a dyed-in-the-wool visionary. Again, my perfectionist tendencies and my color blocking will tell you that I see things in a different way. And so there are a lot of business owners and leaders out there that are visionaries. They want to improve upon something in their industry, or there are tons of folks that are out there that have started businesses that are integrators. They want to be on the tools, they want to do the thing, and they're incredible facilitators of the work. And so either one or both can happen in individuals within your business team. There are business owners that are neither. That's a little news flash. So you don't have to be either one. And you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, in my business, who are these people? And you might be able to identify them, but there may not be either of them in your business. And that's fine too. You might just have a straight up business owner. You might work for an acquisition company, so something different. So you may not have these seats filled in your business, but EOS makes a place for them. And then third, and most importantly, is your leadership team. And that is devised in whatever fashion you would like to have it. And so we'll talk about what does the leadership team look like in a couple slides here. So Gino Wickman, the author of the book Traction, which is what EOS is based on, talks about EOS. And he says, if you're truly going to commit to building a great company, a strong leadership team, and getting the right people in the right seats, you must prepare for change on your leadership team. And that is probably the hardest thing to think about when you're going to implement something as different or as impactful as EOS, is that you might meet resistance. You might have people in your company that have worked there for so many years, and they may feel like, oh, this is terrifying. I don't like this. This is change, and I'm not here for it. And so if you decide to go on the EOS journey, Gino Wickman just tells you, be prepared for people to leave, be prepared for change, and be prepared for change, especially on your leadership team. And I'll tell you a little story about how that worked out at Pink Collars, because that did actually happen here as well. So the last but not least person, sorry, I forgot about this guy, is the owner of the business. And like I said earlier, that person may be a visionary, they may be an integrator, or they may just flat out be the owner of the business. Okay. So how much does an implementer cost? Someone who's an outside consultant that comes into your business and helps you kick this thing off the ground. Well, I'll tell you that it's about a year-long relationship. At least it was for me. Tell me, Rainforest folks, how much or how long was it for your implementer to kind of get the EOS kicked off for you? Are you going to still see he or she later in the year, or was it just a one-time thing?
No, so it's an active consultation with
Great
him.
engagement. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it started in, I think in October.
Okay.
September, October. We had some things kind of happen in December that kind of forced us to start it a little earlier than we had
Sure.
planned.
Sure.
But it ended up being needed.
Yeah.
So, but he is still active in it. He's still active in training the upper, the main leadership, the visionary, and
Sure.
the implementer, or I'm
Mhm.
sorry, the integrator.
Greater. Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah, so they meet, I think, monthly, actually.
Great. And that's the case, and you can customize that however it is for your company, whatever works for you. We ended up having an implementer come in, and he had that really close relationship for about a year. And then after the 12 months, we decided to go to quarterly. And then after year 2, we just went to annually. So we just kind of tapered off that relationship. So how much does something like this cost? Well, there's a couple of folks out here, and here's a couple of really good websites if you need resources to find an implementer. The gentleman on the left, Bill, is our implementer. He lives here on the East Coast. He flies all over the country, though, to implement EOS for folks. You can find his information as well as local implementers on the eosworldwide.com website. And then my friend Jonathan here on the right is actually an implementer for home service businesses specifically. He's owned several home service businesses to include exterior washing and cleaning and a floor coatings company. And so he implements EOS for home services actually very actively and has become an influencer on TikTok, which is really fun. In his second or third version of his career, his businesses are all working and running on their own on EOS. And so he's chosen to kind of help the service industry implement EOS. So if you need any help, check out that company 180.com, and Jonathan can for sure get on a call with you. So the two of them are equally as capable. I just worked specifically with Bill. So what does that look like, or what is that next? You spend the first day with your implementer in a 90-minute meeting. So you'll see that little orange block on the side, the little orange bubble. So that first 90 minutes is always free. I would encourage anybody who's interested to get that on your calendar or your business owner's calendar. You'll talk about your business, about the people in the business, the tools that EOS has to offer, and the processes that EOS has to give. And then you'll do a series of days that will kind of get EOS kicked into the company. You'll do a focus day. You'll wait about 30 days to get all of that. When you talk about the accountability chart, rocks and meeting pulse and scorecard, and all these words may seem foreign to you, but that implementer will really walk you through the language and some of the tools that EOS will help you build. And then you spend 2 days together as a leadership team. And it is everybody that the business owner wants to include in the leadership team, whether that's a call center manager, ops manager, general manager, anybody there, he or she can invite into this sort of vision building day. And this is one of my favorite things that we do. You end up repeating this in a certain way every single year when you annually meet with one another. But this first vision building day is really helpful. You would be shocked at how lost a lot of the people on the team in the business are about what the vision actually is for the business. And so oftentimes, it's really nice to hear from everybody, to sit around a table and talk about the core values and what actually is the 10-year target for this company, and how are we, doing our 1-year plan, and what are some of the issues that we should talk about in the business. And oftentimes people are scared to bring those issues to the forefront. But when you build this like 2-day intensive time together, you start to build trust, and you understand that it's a safe space to bring these things to the light, and so that you can start to work on them and solve them. And then lastly, you kind of move into what's called a quarterly cadence. And every quarter you meet with your implementer, and he or she talks to you about your traction, what's going on with your team, what quarterly goals do you all have, how are you solving issues, if there's any new tools that he or she thinks that you might want to start working on in the business, and then how is accountability going in the business. And again, this sort of pathway really helps everybody in the company know what to expect, what to bring to these meetings, and how to participate in them. So that's kind of what that first year looks like. Any questions here, and I'm happy to answer them. So just come off mute if you'd like to. I can't unfortunately see the chat because I'm trying to run it all. So forgive me for that. Anybody? No? We good? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay. Organizational checkup is the very first thing you'll do. And so your implementer will send you something through EOS. It's private. It gets sent to your entire organization. Everybody gets to rank kind of how they feel about the company. Again, it's private information. So it's really a beautiful way for everybody to understand kind of the temperature of the business, a baseline, as it were. And this organizational checkup will happen every single year so that your implementer can show you that, you know, you kind of started in this particular team health strata, and now you're moving up or down, or you're staying the same. And he or she can help you understand what you can do to help, you know, increase that organizational well-being with your company. And I loved this part. Getting that feedback from the team was really helpful. Again, I could see all the information, but I couldn't understand who it was from. So it was really nice for me to be able to see everything. And so here is my score from Pink Collars from the very first year. I was barely overpassing in organizational team health. So you can see my score was 81. You'll see on the left side here, this big circle is kind of how they divide all the data up to understand what the team health is. So they're asking questions of your company on what is the vision, what kind of data does this company measure, what are your processes, do they work, what is your issues, how are your people situation, and they ask all of these great questions of your team. Look at the scores on the upper right-hand corner. And I mean, this is full transparency I'm showing you here. I like to tell you all online and in this group that I build systems, and look at my process score. It's the second one from the bottom. It's the lowest score. And here I'm out here saying, well, almost the lowest score. People was low too. I'm a people-based business that builds systems, and my scores were abysmal. I was so put back. And again, this is like 3 years ago, but I was so put back on my heels. I was like, hey, wait a minute. You mean my business like sucks? Like my people aren't super happy and they don't understand the processes. And I get out there in the world and tell people that I know what I'm talking about. Like my own backyard was a mess, right? And so it has really been insightful over these last 3 years to see how we've improved. Those scores are massively improved now, right? They're in the 90s and hundreds now. So I'm out of this dark time in my business, but it was beautiful for me to see that baseline so I can see how much we've improved, you know? And so this part is really important. You think that your people understand the data or that there aren't that many issues in your company, and you will be super surprised about what is actually going on in your business. So, okay, scary stuff, but really important stuff. Okay. I loved the fact that we got that organizational checkup and that it gave me some recommended steps. I wasn't all alone in a dark hole. I was like, okay, now what do I do to fix it? And so based on the scores that our company reflected back to me, they were able to give me, EOS was able to give me kind of a roadmap on how to fix things. So we talked about documenting things, and we talked about core processes being followed by all. And that is still that acronym. FBA is an acronym we use every week here at Pink Collars, because we as organizers or leaders think that, okay, we've put
You're gonna have more stuff on there, aren't you?
whoopsie, somebody's not muted. We put processes in place, and we think, okay, my people know exactly what to do, but sometimes they don't, and it can be a mess. And so followed by all is really important, and how to document those processes. Again, I thought that I had this whole part of the business licked, and I was wrong. So really insightful there to help understand where to go to next. And so in processes, we really distilled it way down to 5 things. And we wanted to simplify everything. We wanted to write it down. We wanted to agree that the process was a certain thing. We had to train and teach our people. And then most importantly, we had to measure things. So you'll see this young lady in the middle of the screen. Her name's Lori. She was my ops manager at the time that we put EOS in place. And what we did was we built processes that were Trello cards that were just checklists. And so if you have come to a CSR Academy in-person event, I teach you how to use Trello. And we just created very simple checklists for every piece of our business. Now, this is super helpful for those in the office. How you distill that information to the technicians in the field, a little bit different. So maybe a different tool. But for us at the office, it really did help us having everything in Trello and having everything clear and understandable. And we use these checklists every single day. So again, I thought we had it locked. We had it in Trainual and we had it in Slack. And we had it everywhere. And once we loaded everything into one spot, it really became much easier. And checklists were really our secret sauce for pink collars. So what happens next after you kind of kick off the beginning? You do a vision and traction organizer. And so we work on a platform called 90, which is a place where we can put all of our data, all of our stuff, all of our goals, all of our issues. It records all of our meetings. And so as you start working on EOS, you need sort of a home base for everybody to come back to. There's several software platforms out there. This one's about $10 per person per seat. Our leadership team's about 6 people, so we pay about 60, 70 bucks a month. I think it's really affordable to be able to hold everything. And so we actually sat in those 2 days and wrote out our target market, our unique proposition to the market. How are we different than any other company out there that delivers service like us? Our process, our proven process, how does that work? And then all of the core values, our core focus, and our 10-year target. Again, did we have some of these things already done? 100%. But having them again in one place where everybody in the organization could see them. And if they evolved, which they have over the last couple of years, everybody had the most current information. So any software platform out there, and like I said, there's several that can help you organize EOS in your business. You can grab one, but we really like this one. It's called 90. NINETY. Okay. And then lastly, accountability chart. They don't call it an organizational chart in EOS. They call it an accountability chart. And I really love that just small tweak of language. It allows you to not just say, hey, pull up the org chart. Let's look at so-and-so. It keeps that word accountability at top of mind. And so you get to build your accountability chart. You'll see this is a picture of ours. And so it's the visionary. I'm the one at the top of this particular chart. Our integrator, Rick, who's somebody I'll introduce you to a little bit later in the slides, our operations team, and all of the people underneath her. So what an EOS lets you do is identify the 3 to 5 things that any role should be doing. Part of that first couple of days of vision building, it was so impactful to understand that we had an operations team member that was doing like 20 things, and we had a sales team member that was doing like 2, right? So we were able to really quickly see who was maxed out on the team based on what they were connected with on this accountability chart. So part of that implementer's work is to sit with each individual person on your team throughout that first 90 days and say, okay, of these 3 to 5 things that, or of these, 10 things that you're currently doing as part of your role, what are the 3 to 5 that you love the most, that you're really good at, and that really fit the seat the best? And so you get to customize those 3 to 5 things. And I will tell you that that feels like it's not a lot, but it is a great deal of work. And so oftentimes this is very insightful for business owners as well to see what their team's actually doing. Some of them just may not understand the level of accountability that you have. So part of EOS, you'll see at the top of everybody's little block here is lead, manage, and accountable. And that's really part of being in the leadership team. Not only do you have to do your job, your basic roles and responsibilities, say you're in operations or you're in people ops or sales, you also have to be responsible for those 3 to 5 things outside of your job that help move the business forward. Okay, so questions here, anybody on accountability chart? No? Okay, we're going to keep going. Rocks. Rocks is EOS's term for goals, for goal setting. And I love the fact that it's rocks, and I think this picture is really helpful. You can see the picture on the left. When you put all the collateral material in a jar on the left, you see the sand kind of goes to the bottom, all the little things, the medium things kind of go in the middle, and the big things are all at the top. And oftentimes this is the way we as humans organize, tasks that we have to do. We get really busy in all the little day-to-day stuff, the little sand of our job. And sometimes we'll get to a bigger task, a bigger initiative. But sometimes those big, huge things like change something massive in the business or add another CSR or add another role in the company, that can be really scary. And those big rocks just don't get done. The beauty of EOS is it becomes a process of enveloping the rocks inside of your day-to-day workflow. So as you're working day to day and you're answering phones or you're sending out crews to you're dispatching crews or you're doing whatever, there's always a little side project that you're working on called a rock, which is your quarterly goal for your seat in the business. So say you're in operations, your quarterly rock might be to finish the training manual or complete videos for training CSRs or finish working on your Trello board or whatever. And that rock is constantly there for you. And weekly, we will check in on how you're doing on it. Do you need help? Do you need support? Is there somebody in the business that can help you? And I like the fact that it takes these big chunks of work that you need to accomplish, and it allows you to envelop them in your workday. Everybody on the leadership team has this EOS leadership manual. There is a digital version available online that you can purchase and print out. And every time we meet as a leadership team quarterly or annually, we use these manuals, and they're really beneficial to keep notes and to keep good stuff. I will fully own up to the fact that I ordered the digital version and I've made copies. So please don't tell on me. I'm sure that other people in the world have done that. So an implementer. How much is an implementer going to cost for this first year? Well, that's probably the scariest part of this whole presentation. That person is typically between $20,000 and $25,000 for the first year. So as a consultant, keep in mind, certainly they're not a full-time leadership team member, but they're about 25% of what a good leader would cost. So about $5,000 every time he would come and do a team meeting with us. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about hiring an implementer. Okay. The second person in command is an integrator. And you saw Rick on the screen a little bit earlier, and I'll talk to you about him. An integrator is the person that sits below the visionary, alongside the visionary. They're typically a person that's the doer in your business. And oftentimes they can manage people better than a visionary. This is absolutely the case in my business. Oftentimes they just take care of things a little bit better. This is really the partner in every single business that I've seen be successful. There is an integrator somewhere in there that is making it happen. And whether you are identified as the integrator in your business, oftentimes I see call center managers being the integrator or moving into that role. So that is not uncommon. Okay. Rick is available. He was our fractional integrator for a little over a year until we found someone. Our current integrator's name is Kayla. She's fantastic. If you were at AHR, she was there in the booth with me and we were talking to people. But Rick came in as a fractional integrator because I didn't have one in my business. And that's the thing. You can find fractional integrators and you can find fractional visionaries as well, which I think is wild. And you can hire these folks to come in and from a completely outsider's perspective, look at the business a little bit more clinically and see how you can get the team to work better together. So just like the implementer, you can actually outsource this role if you need to, okay? Rick was in charge of all of our level 10 meetings. As a visionary, I will fully admit that meetings are not my jam. I love people, but I don't want to sit here in a meeting all the time. I want to like do stuff. I have a lot of impatience. And so the integrator will often run your level 10 meetings, and he or she will identify the headlines and the issues of the week. The rest of the team has access to that software platform. So if something crops up on a Wednesday, and your meeting's not till Friday, they can put it in so they don't forget. And that's often something that I do. And he or she can kind of corral all of that information in 90 to keep people accountable. So you'll see here some of the issues that were here at Pink Collars a couple of years ago. We were having problems with end of day forms getting done. We needed some pay for performance done and added. We were, confused about PTO standards in the first year. And you can see my team has their little bubble face next to it. That's the issue that they're bringing forward for the leadership team to solve. And the level 10 meeting is this roundtable discussion where everybody's together. It's 90 minutes per week. And a lot of home service businesses go 90 minutes. We can't even sit down for 10. They freak out at 90 minutes. But I can promise you that that is the most valuable 90 minutes that we have in our company. So really, really, really impactful. And we get to work on all these issues. Everybody gets to bring something to the table and make sure that they really fully understand and are heard about what that issue might be. I'm seeing some chats here. Whoops. You've reached the record. Oh, they're just some of the note takers. Okay, everybody looks like we're good. Oh, we're an EOS company. Gabe says we're EOS. Okay, beautiful. Love it. Okay, so scorecards. That's the next thing that's part of the accountability chart is scorecards and KPIs. So who has scorecards or KPIs in their business? Probably most of us, right? Got KPIs, we're tracking stuff. EOS and 90 in particular, that software makes it really, really easy to track. We have an executive assistant that goes through all of our software platforms. We use HubSpot for ours to run our company, but in Service Titan or any of the House Call Pro, any of those, you could very easily have an EA or a VA go in and grab this data if your team is too busy. But this was just some of the information that our sales team was reporting every week. So Robert at the time would talk about how many clients were in the queue, how many forms had come in, onboards, emails, all that good stuff. And then you'll see Tasha there. She was talking about how much overtime was there, how much sick time, how much PTO was going on. And it gives everybody an understanding of what's happening in each of the individual departments. So it's really an insight for everybody. And that scorecard is part of this level 10 meeting. Everybody reviews their scorecard real quickly. Okay. And then my favorite part of the meeting is you get to IDS, and those in EOS know this acronym. You get to identify for the problem, you get to decide on the problem, and then my favorite is you get to solve the problem. So IDS. At Pink Collars, our biggest IDS continued being processes, probably for the first 6 months in EOS. And so we were always talking about processes and documentation and making sure we had it nailed. And was it videotaped? And was it in writing? And was it on a checklist? And how was it done? And so we really went round and round and round about that issue for a long time until we really nailed it. And we're really happy about that. Rick told me to read this book, and I did listen to it on the audio form. Again, I'm a little impatient, so I didn't have a chance to finish the whole book. It's dog-eared and laying somewhere. But this book was very helpful. The audiobook really resonated with me. And it really helped me understand the relationship between the visionary and the integrator. And so if you're interested in understanding more about how really well-run businesses work with those two different personality types, I would recommend that you grab this book. Again, I loved the audio version. I still listen to it in my car if I'm there and I have a few minutes. But it really does help you see that visionaries are the ones that kind of have an idea and try to kick it off, and integrators are the ones that make those ideas reality. And that relationship is the most primal relationship in all of business. So really, I would encourage you to check that out. So how much does a fractional integrator cost? Well, Rick was not inexpensive either. He ended up being about $4,000 a month, so about $1,000 a week. He was in the business 10 hours a week, so he was about $100 an hour. But I could have cut him back or added hours to his kind of lineup as we needed. But 10 hours a week really helped me get out of the weeds of operations, helped him run the level 10 meetings, all the one-on-ones with all of our team, and helped them start to utilize the tools and teachings that we had all learned. And he really set us up for success to be able to bring on a full-time integrator. Okay, so important to know that there are people out there that can help you if your business doesn't maybe have an integrator or a general manager. Okay, so why does any of this matter? Well, it keeps everybody sane, first of all. It lets the business have traction, which is what every business is here to accomplish, right? We're here to move forward and change things as we move. And so it really does help. This is a picture of a bracelet that I actually you can see, if you can see me in the camera, I'm actually still wearing it. This is now the 3rd year I've worn this bracelet. And my hand is here on the left with the pink frazzled jacket. And this was my leadership team at the time we started EOS. I will tell you that not a single person in this picture works at Pink Collars 3 years later. And that is a very painful admission. But throughout using the tools, doing the meetings, bringing on Rick, understanding our annual process, building our KPIs, and revising the business that was Pink Collars, it really did impact the team greatly. Now, did they all leave at once in a huff? No. Was there one big blow up that everybody freaked out? No. But over about a 2-year period, quietly and carefully, each one of them said, you know, this accountability thing isn't for me, or this EOS thing isn't for me. And I think if I look back and take accountability for that painful time in my business, it was truly because I, as the visionary, was still trying to do everything. And it was only until I read that rocket fuel book and brought in Rick and realized that I couldn't do it all, that's when the business actually changed. And so even though in a lot of ways, especially as a woman, I saw that as a huge failure on my part, it was actually a massive win. I am in close contact with almost all the ladies in this picture. So personally, we made it through, but professionally, we had to make some really hard changes in the business. And they made those decisions on their own, and one with me, but most of them on their own. And that was the plot twist. So get prepared for that. Okay. So while we're wrapping up here, I want to check on time. How are we doing? Ooh, 1:40. We're doing good. Want you to do a fun little exercise with me, if you wouldn't mind. We're all sitting down, hopefully. Nobody's driving, but if you are, please don't do this part of the exercise. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about the business that you work for, the business that you own, the business that you work with, however it is you're connected to the business. And I want you to visualize the business in your mind. What does the shop look like? What does the building look like? If you work from home, what does your home office look like? And I want you to see what it is today. Okay, can you see it in your mind's eye? It's daytime, probably. It's the work day. Vans are coming in and out. Trucks are coming in and out. You're a really bustling home service business. And now I want you to think about what it looks like at night. Trucks are parked, lights are off, things are quiet. Now, when we think about EOS and we consider what does a business look like from the outside, none of us really know what goes on the inside unless we work there. EOS really does go inside the business, and it changes the very heart of it. And so as you open your eyes and think about the company that you work with and who you are and what you bring to it, I want you to consider that the accountability part, the people part, the service part, everything that makes up the business. If you decide to work with EOS, it will change. That is an absolute guarantee. Everything about the business will change. But I know, for one, in my own experience and in the experience of the businesses that I've walked through EOS with, they've all changed for the better. So scary sometimes dark, sometimes light, but actually really, really, really impactful. So that's EOS. Questions here before I give you guys some more good stuff. I'm going to stop sharing. I can pull up another screen. Anybody have any questions? Thank you for your attention, first of all. Please, looks like you're done talking. We'll lower your hand. Oh, whoops, somebody's note taker keeps popping off. Any questions? No? Well, you guys are so easy. I don't know what to do with you all on this Thursday, March the 6th. I will tell you that I liked to think of EOS as sort of bubble wrap for the team. That's another thing that I like to think of as a word picture when I'm thinking about it. The team that we have now is absolutely high achievers, absolutely loves accountability and transparency. And we've scaled the business in a really positive way as a result of it, of EOS. So you guys at Rainforest, you're in for a fun ride. It's going to be terrific. Don't be afraid. I think it's really sets the stage for growth, EOS, in my estimation. And so if that's what the goals are for the business, I think you're going to be really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, I think, and we've already seen the changes and like having that 10-year goal and even the 2-year goal, and it has it in traction, but like the analogy of everybody rowing in the same direction, if we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And before, everyone's thinking, okay, I feel like this is the right way to go. And so they're paddling this way and the other person in the boat's paddling the other way. And you're just going, you're either in circles or going nowhere because everyone's paddling a different direction. And so having everybody kind of focus the same mindset on the same goal and knowing where you're going and everybody paddling in the same direction, like that whole visual analogy is, it just makes the lights turn on.
It does. Yeah, it really does. And you'll find that some of your quiet team members that you were like, oh, they just come to work for a paycheck and they're the ones that have the best ideas. And they just never had a place to share them, right? They just never had a venue in which they were heard or asked questions about, and so we have found that for sure. And natural leadership starts to emerge. We've now been able to push those level 10 meetings down into 2 layers down of leadership into the business. And that has really been fun to see the CSRs and the team success folks they do a compressed level 10. It's like 30 minutes a week. But they have issues, they have stuff they want to solve. They are doing it all and they're just like knocking through stuff. It's really great to see.
Yeah, it's been great, kind of integrating that into, down the tier, like through the CSRs and with our team meetings and then, with the finance department and theirs and empowering them to know that they too have a paddle.
Yeah, they do. They have a paddle. That's a great word picture. You're right. It's a great word picture. Love it. Well, I'm grateful for you guys. Anybody else? No? Happy to see everybody. Who's going to ACA? Anyone going to ACA in Austin next month? Or actually this month. Oh my gosh, it's like 3 weeks away. Anybody? No? Angie and Erica and I will be at ACA. We're doing a quick 1-day workshop. So I'll drop that in the Facebook group. If you're interested, we're going to do that the day before ACA kind of gets going on that Monday.
I'll be there with my almost lead CSR when it's going to be a lead.
Awesome. Cheryl, congratulations. That's awesome. Please stop by and find us. We're going to all be there. So
all right.
Yeah, we're gonna do that one day
Actually-
leadership. Go ahead.
Actually, I'll be at your CSR Academy.
Oh, terrific on Monday. Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. I saw your registration come through. Great.
Yeah.
That's gonna be great. That's gonna be a train the trainer. So it's gonna be kind of a compressed version of our 2-day workshop, really nuts and bolts of how to add leadership and leadership skills into the business. So I'm excited about it. I'm going to teach you all about Trello on that day too. So it's going to be super fun. Yeah. Well, terrific. Anybody else have anything before I let everybody go? Look, we did great on time today. No? Well, I appreciate everybody. This was terrific. Thank you all for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. Really, really. I won't bore you with any more Taylor Swift music, I promise. Okay. Everybody have a great day. Okay. Yeah, please. Oops. I thought somebody was talking. I'm sorry. I didn't hear him. Did you? It was strange. Okay. Thanks, ladies. See you guys later. Have a great day. Okay. Bye.